In this video, we confront the chilling danger of keeping predators as pets, where the line between fascination and fear collapses in blood and chaos. From a woman who mistook feeding wild bears was an act of kindness. But it all begins on a quiet mountain porch, where a sandwich meant as a gift became the trigger for a black bear's lethal strike. The 7th of August, 2009, Ouray County, Colorado. The late summer afternoon cast long shadows across the San Juan Mountains, temperature hovering at 72 degrees. A gentle breeze carried the scent of pine and wildflowers across Donna Munson's remote property, nestled against the wilderness at 7,000 feet elevation. The chain-link fence surrounding her porch sagged in multiple places, deliberately modified with gaps large enough for paws to reach through. Donna, 74, stood on her porch spreading peanut butter sandwiches across the railing. Her white hair caught the golden light as she hummed to herself, seemingly oblivious to the large shadow moving through the tree line. 20 years in this mountain home had stripped away her fear of the wilderness. Instead, she developed something more dangerous. A misguided sense of kinship with the wild bears that frequented her property. "There you are, my big boy," Donna cooed as a 300-pound male black bear emerged from the forest edge. She'd named this one Samson for his impressive size. "I was wondering when you'd come for dinner." The adult male American black bear approaching Donna's property had been conditioned to human feeding for at least 5 years. At 320 pounds, he was 30% heavier than typical males his age, a direct result of supplemental feeding. Black bears possess remarkable strength, capable of flipping 1,000-pound dumpsters, tearing car doors from hinges, and breaking human femurs with a single bite. Their jaws generate over 800 pounds per square inch of pressure, designed to crush bones and pulverize plant matter with equal efficiency. A black bear's sense of smell is 7 times more sensitive than a bloodhound's, capable of detecting food sources from over a mile away. Sheriff's Deputy Mark Daniels had visited Donna just 2 weeks earlier. "Mrs. Munson," he'd warned, standing at the edge of her property, "we've received more complaints about bears congregating here. Fish and Wildlife has documented at least 7 different bears visiting your property regularly. This is creating a dangerous situation." Donna had dismissed him with a wave. "They're gentle souls who just need some help," she'd insisted. "I've been feeding them for years and never had a problem." She'd refused to listen when he explained that bears fed by humans lose their natural wariness and begin to associate all humans with food. The deputy had left, frustrated but legally unable to do more. Donna had constructed makeshift feeding stations that forced the bears to reach through her fence. She called it her bear cage, insisting it kept her safe. On this August afternoon, Donna leaned toward the fence, pushing a sandwich through one of the openings. "You're getting so big, Samson!" "Look at those beautiful teeth." The bear's behavioral patterns had shifted dramatically over the previous month. Wildlife biologists would later identify critical warning signs that had gone unreported: increased daylight activity, decreased startle response to loud noises, and direct approaches toward humans without hesitation. All classic indicators of a bear that no longer registered humans as threats but rather as food providers. When Samson approached the fence, he didn't stop at his usual distance. He moved directly to the gap Donna had created for feeding, his movements deliberate and focused. His nose twitched, cataloging scents beyond just the peanut butter sandwich, the deeper, richer smell of the person behind it. "That's a good boy, Donna," said, placing more food on the fence rail. She told her neighbor Jerry Patterson just yesterday, "These bears depend on me. They'd starve without my help." Jerry had tried to convince her that bears were perfectly capable of finding natural food sources, but Donna remained unshakable in her conviction. Her refrigerator was plastered with photos of her bears, each one named and documented like beloved pets. The black bear assessed the scene through senses humans can barely comprehend. His vision detected minute movements, while his nose captured thousands of olfactory signals, from the peanut butter to the scent glands in Donna's skin. Most critically, his brain processed her behavior through the instinctual filter of predator and prey. The usual boundaries had eroded through years of conditioning, and something fundamental had shifted in this bear's perception of humans. Donna turned to retrieve more sandwiches from her kitchen table. That single moment her back turned, her attention diverted, was all it took. The fence buckled with a metallic groan. 320 pounds of muscle and claws hit the chain link with deliberate force. The compromised section gave way instantly, collapsing under pressure it was never designed to withstand. The bear thrust his massive upper body through the opening, front paws extended. "What are you?" Donna began, turning at the sound. The bear's paw connected with her shoulder, 5 curved claws hooking into flesh and fabric simultaneously. The impact spun Donna sideways, her 5'4" frame offering no resistance against the bear's raw power. Her body slammed into the porch railing with bone-jarring force. "Help!" Donna screamed, the single word echoing across the empty mountainside. "Someone help!" But the nearest neighbor was half a mile away, and Donna's voice didn't carry beyond the clearing. The mountain absorbed her terror, indifferent to human suffering. The bear dragged Donna toward the fence opening, claws shredding through her clothing and into the soft tissue beneath. Her spine scraped against rough wooden boards as she fought against the inexorable pull. Her fingers clutched desperately at porch posts, chair legs, anything that might anchor her, but each handhold ripped away under the relentless pressure. "Please, Samson." "No," Donna gasped, still unable to comprehend that her gentle soul had transformed into her executioner. The bear pulled her through the fence opening with mechanical efficiency, her shoulder joints dislocating from the unnatural angle. Once on the outside, the attack intensified. The bear's jaws clamped down on Donna's midsection, teeth designed for omnivorous feeding puncturing through abdominal walls with terrifying ease. Donna's screams diminished to whimpers, then to silence, as shock mercifully dulled her awareness. The mountain witnessed her final moments with the same impassive presence it had maintained for millennia, a silent observer to the natural world's brutal truths. 23 hours later, UPS delivery driver Carl Swanson approached Donna's property for his regular delivery. The silence struck him first, no greeting from Donna, who typically waited for packages on her porch. Then the smell hit him, a metallic odor that triggered ancient survival instincts. He stopped the truck 30 yards from the house. "Hello, Mrs. Munson?" Carl called, scanning the property. The scene revealed itself in horrifying fragments. The collapsed fence section, dark stains soaking into porch wood, and 50 feet beyond, something that his brain initially refused to process as human remains. Carl radioed for emergency services from his truck, never approaching closer. "Possible bear attack at the Munson property," he reported, voice steady despite his racing heart. "I believe Mrs. Munson is deceased." Sheriff's deputies arrived 20 minutes later, their vehicles kicking up dust on the remote mountain road. They secured the scene with grim efficiency, documenting evidence while maintaining vigilance for any returning bears. "Jesus Christ," Deputy Daniels whispered, recognizing the victim. "I warned her this would happen." The investigation revealed that Donna had been killed by the black bear, then partially consumed on site. The medical examiner would later determine that the attack began while she was alive, with death occurring from massive trauma and blood loss approximately 4 minutes into the attack. As deputies photographed the scene, movement at the forest edge triggered an immediate response. Weapons raised, they watched as a large black bear, likely the same one responsible for the attack, emerged from the tree line. The animal showed no fear, approaching the property with singular focus, drawn by the scent of the remains. "It's coming back to feed," Senior Deputy Wilson stated flatly. "That's a predatory response." 2 rifle shots ended the bear's advance. Later testing would confirm human DNA in its digestive tract. Wildlife biologist Dr. Jennifer Morris arrived from Colorado Parks and Wildlife to assess the situation. "This is a tragic but predictable outcome," she explained to investigators. Mrs. Munson essentially trained these bears to associate humans with food. When a bear becomes this habituated, it stops seeing us as threats and starts seeing us as either competition or prey. The investigation uncovered the extent of Donna's feeding operation receipts for hundreds of pounds of dog food, cases of peanut butter, and day-old bread collected from local bakeries. Her journal detailed feeding schedules and the bear's preferences with motherly attention to detail. August the 5th. Samson especially liked the honey sandwiches today. He's getting so comfortable with me. These were her second to last journal entry. The final one, dated August the 7th, simply read, Samson seems different today, more focused. In the aftermath, wildlife, officials trapped and euthanized 4 additional bears that showed signs of habituation on Donna's property. DNA testing confirmed at least 2 had been present during or after the attack. Neighbors reported that Donna had been feeding local bears for over a decade, despite numerous warnings from authorities. She thought she was helping them, her neighbor Jerry Patterson told reporters. She didn't understand that she was essentially signing her own death warrant and theirs. Doctor Rebecca Liu from the North American Bear Center provided context for the incident. Between 2000 and 2015, there were 664 documented black bear attacks in North America, resulting in approximately 25 fatalities. What's significant is that predatory attacks where the bear deliberately hunts a human as prey account for the majority of fatalities, though they represent a tiny percentage of total encounters. Bear behavior specialist Michael Torres explained the progression that led to the attack. Bears don't suddenly decide to attack humans. There's a habituation continuum that starts with simple food conditioning. The bear associates humans with food rewards. Eventually, the bear loses all fear of humans and becomes increasingly bold, testing boundaries. The final stage is predatory behavior, where the bear begins to view humans themselves as a food source. A memorial service for Donna drew mixed reactions from the community. Some mourned a kind-hearted woman who loved animals, while others viewed her death as the inevitable consequence of dangerous behavior that had put the entire community at risk. The bears weren't to blame. Forest Service Ranger Sarah Thompson explained at a community meeting following the incident. They behaved according to their nature once the natural boundaries between wildlife and humans were erased. When you train wild animals to approach humans for food, you're not just endangering yourself, you're creating dangerous animals that may harm others. The fence Donna had modified her so-called bear cage became a focal point of the investigation. What she had seen as protection had actually created a perfect hunting blind for a predator strong enough to break through it. The barrier gave her a false sense of security, explained Deputy Daniels. She believed she was in control of the situation, but she never was. In Donna's cluttered living room, investigators found dozens of books on bears, many with passages highlighting their intelligence and complex social structures. What was missing from her library were texts on predator behavior and wildlife management. She had romanticized the animals while ignoring their fundamental nature. Colorado Parks and Wildlife used the incident to launch a public awareness campaign, Fed Bears Are Dead Bears, highlighting how feeding wildlife inevitably leads to their destruction. The campaign featured stark images of the aftermath of Donna's property bears euthanized because they had learned to associate humans with food. 6 months after Donna's death, motion-activated cameras captured new black bears investigating her abandoned property. These bears moved cautiously, maintaining distance from human structures, their natural wariness still intact. Donna's closest friend, Marianne Weber, kept a single item from the property after it was cleared out a small carving of a bear that had sat on Donna's mantle. She loved those animals, Marianne said, turning the wooden figure in her hands. That's what makes this so tragic. Her love for them is what killed her and them. The mountains around Donna's property stand unchanged, indifferent to the human drama that unfolded there. Each spring, new bears emerge from hibernation, their behavior shaped by millions of years of evolution and by each human interaction they experience. Park Ranger James Hemingway now uses Donna's story in Wilderness Safety presentations. Bears aren't stuffed animals, they aren't pets, they're wild predators deserving of respect and distance, he tells audiences. When we project human emotions onto wild animals, we set up both species for disaster. In the end, Perhaps the most telling evidence came from Donna's own journal, in an entry from 3 years before her death. The bears trust me now. They know I would never harm them. What Donna never understood was that in nature, trust is not the absence of harm, it's the absence of fear. And a bear without fear of humans is the most dangerous predator in the mountains. How thin the veneer between civilization and wilderness. How dangerous the belief that we can tame what should remain wild. In the silence of the mountains where Donna died, new bears roam, their behaviors untainted by human feeding. But for how long? How many more will mistake dominion for connection, control for harmony? The wild remains eternally itself neither cruel nor kind, but perfectly, fatally honest about what it is. Those who forget this truth may, like Donna, become cautionary tales whispered around campfires and the shadow of the indifferent mountains.